Dun, 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 dun.
What? It's been a minute.
It's been, it's been, it's been, it's been a long time.
Uh,
Shouldn't have left you. Wild strong. To step two. Think of how many weeks shows you slept through. Time's up. Sorry we kept you. Man, they better. They better be glad we can't play music, fam.
right?
They completely destroyed the hip hop aspect of our joint. I get why
They
you two
totally
don't get me
did.
wrong. They destroyed the hip hop aspect of our joint, man.
Yeah,
We
man.
back, man. It's been a minute, bruh.
It has.
It's
Been
been
like
a
over
minute.
a month.
Yeah, cross examine. We back to the grill again. The grill,
The grill
again.
again.
Back to the grill again. The grill again.
Hey yo.
Yeah, this is a shout out, man, for all of the, especially the Patreon supporters, man. They've
Yeah.
been holding us down and haven't had an episode. Ain't heard nothing in a minute. I've been off the curse corner tip.
Hey, you been killing it over there though. You doing your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, man?
Yeah, man. I took a break, man. You know, for a minute, I was doing that one post 100 days challenge.
Right.
And I got up in the 40s, man. But then life comes at you fast, you know. So I just had to stop, man. But then, but recently, I forgot what made me be like, man, let me get back on this show. I think because I was going on sabbatical. I was like, man, let me step my game up, man, and get back on
I mean, you definitely did. You've been hitting the topics heavy. You know, you got your little short clips now going on.
Yeah.
You know, CNN.
Yeah, I just needed to do a little research, figure out how to help us get better, man. Just improve.
Hey.
Got the new camera, all of that, man.
Looking
So,
goody, looking goody.
Got all. I'm trying to look like Strike. Got the lights on in the back. You know all that, man. We just doing it like that. So, so it's good, man. But the channel's been growing, man. Shouts to the homie Ruslan, man. Ruslan's a good dude, man. Ruslan is always telling people you gotta check out this dude's channel, man. All that stuff. So we appreciate
He does. That is
bro.
love, man. That's definitely
That's big
love.
love. That's love. He's a good dude, man. I bang with Ruslan tough. A good dude, but I appreciate that. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Cross Examine Season 6, Episode 1, man. This
What?
is it. This is it, bro. We giving y'all a full season this year. We had a lot going on this past season, but we learning now. We growing. It took us, you know, your boy is getting the hang of the YouTube game. You know what I'm saying? So we getting it out there. We got some. I'm gonna tell you what, man. AI has been incredible, bro. It's a lot of just good apps that do make things real easy, bro.
Is that
So
that's what's making it happen? It's the
yeah,
AI.
man. But I had to find which ones are the good ones, man. You know?
Okay.
So now that I figure out, I know some of the good ones, we can chop up our content, do the stuff that we've been wanting to do for years, right?
Nice.
To help us grow. And I've been doing that, you know, as you see with my little joint, with the Curse Corner
Yeah.
joints.
You got to
man,
put me on though, so I could do that with the music vids too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I got you. Also, man, we've been. I finally, people been. You know how many times people were like, "Hey, bro, would you mind making playlists? Because it'd be easier to share your stuff." So we finally got playlists on the channel. So there's a Cross Examine playlist.
Word.
There's a Kurt's Corner playlist.
Nice.
And then a Shorty Doo-Wop playlist. That's just my little
Shorty
YouTube
Doo-Wop?
shorts.
Is that
That's the
oh,
YouTube
okay.
shorts.
That's-
You know
all
what
right,
I'm
all
saying?
right. I thought you was getting your son involved. I thought Mateo was getting
Yeah.
ready to start doing something.
Yeah, he might jump on that joint. You know,
You know,
what
he
I'm
the
saying? might jump
YouTube
on-
Don out here.
Man, Slim, he be having 100K
I know, that's what I'm
video
saying.
like views on his shorts. I'm like, son, what's the secret, man? You know what I'm saying? Come holler at your dad real quick, man. You know
Holla
what I'm
at
saying?
your boy.
But we season 6, episode 1, man. We gonna,
Hey.
out of respect for the fact that my man is an Eagles fan and they play on Thursday Night Football, we gonna jump right in, man. I've been, you know,
Let's do it.
as I've been doing a lot more videos, just looking at the world, thinking about things. And, you know, it's funny, man. It's always interesting to know what to talk about. But because of tonight's game, I'm not gonna waste no time. We're gonna jump into this. Otherwise, we'll give an update on how things, what we've been through since the last season, right? We'll talk about that next time. We're gonna jump into this, and I want to talk about this issue. I did a video earlier today on role models, and I said in that video that Strack, you and I were going to be talking on another level similar to that, but just talking about the idea of role models. But we're not going to talk about role models as much as something different. It kind of affects that, but it's something different I want to talk about today. And let me tell you why we're going to talk about this first. One day, I can't remember why this happened. I forgot why this came into my mind. maybe I was just thinking about doing a Kurt's Corner. And I get these notifications because I have some news apps, and I get a lot of like notifications, like, oh, like just different stories across the globe. And there was a couple days period where I kept getting these like Kim Kardashian blows people away with her short curly bangs or something. And I'm like, what? Then another video, fans were upset because Kim Kardashian looks like she's taking her sister's hairstyle. And it was just like over a 2 week period, there was so much emphasis on that. And then I just had an epiphany, right? I had an epiphany. I thought, wow, it's fascinating to me that so many people, women in particular, pattern themselves after Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I started just thinking about like Instagram models, and then there was a YouTube joint that just popped up, and we're gonna get into all that. But I realized that a lot of what I processed in our country as, I would have called it like vanity or greed, because these models want money and they want all this stuff. I realized that a lot of it is not really that. That our culture really just, in a sneak for real, that our culture has really idolized insecurity.
Yeah.
Like we've created we've created a context where we are encouraging and celebrating insecurity in people. And that's when I was like, hold up, man, me and Strack, we gotta talk about this. So we looked at some articles, looked at some YouTube videos, and I want to have a conversation with you all. We want to talk to y'all about this because Strack and I always are going to try to pull from different angles. And I don't know if anybody's coming from this particular angle, but there is an idolatry of insecurity happening right now in our culture. And let me explain briefly what I mean, and Strack, I want you to weigh in and tell me what you're seeing.
Let's do it.
Here's the insecurity, right? They say like imitation is the best form of flattery. You've heard that phrase before.
For sure.
Something like that, like imitation is that. Like that's why, you got all these people, even though Elvis has been dead, like dead, you got people in Vegas still imitating this dude. I mean, making money off of how well they impersonate. I remember when Tupac was killed, there were people that were trying to do. So there's always that. There's imitation is the best form of flattery, and it's funny when there are times it can be funny. I don't know if you remember Weird Al Yankovic. Remember that dude?
Oh, yeah.
Who would make all those spoofs, like Michael Jackson
because
spoofs.
I'm fat,
Right.
Just eat it,
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
That Eat It was my joint, bro. When that band was going back and forth with the spoon with the dude, right?
Yeah, man, he was killing it.
We've always appreciated people who, or like even impressions. It's funny watching people who can impersonate other people.
Ari Spears
is good with the rappers, man. I heard him do a freestyle one time as Jay-Z, LL Cool J, DMX.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he was killing it, right?
All of them.
All of them. So there's something to be said about being able to impersonate and even, take some cues from celebrities. But what's happened in the culture, and some of it is the social media culture, but what's happened now is it's not just like, oh, I like this person's style or I like this about the person. Particularly women, right? I see it happening with guys too. But particularly women, it's not just like, oh, I like this style. It's I want to look like and be like this person.
Right.
And in my life, I feel like in the last 10, 15 years, that person is Kim Kardashian. I feel like I haven't seen anyone. Now, I grew up in the 80s, so I was, maybe I was young and didn't realize maybe the significance of like a Cindy Crawford or a Christy Brinkley or some of these models, right? Mm-hmm. To me, it's, I can say some, we'll get to that in a second, but I just realized, why do so many women, including her own sisters, want to look like her? Now, obviously, she's beautiful and she's attractive, but
even Kanye's new joint. Kind of look like a Kardashian-esque.
I mean, honestly, bro, if you look at her face, right, she looks like like her, like Kim a little bit. She has those
Oftentimes,
features.
yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
Reggie Bush? He was dating Kim K for a little bit. Remember that?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then when Reggie Bush broke up with her, he married a girl that kind of looked like her. I mean, I'm dead serious. I don't know if they're
Cats is
still
wild.
married.
Cats
But if
is
you look
wild.
at, so we're gonna get into this, but I want to start with just what's your initial thoughts before we jump into sort of this insecurity. And what I mean is, we are celebrating women being so uncomfortable with how they look that they want to look like Kim Kardashian,
Right.
primarily or somewhere else.
Yeah, I blame Sir Mix-a-Lot, man. Real rap. Like, I blame Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh my gosh, Becky, her
Word
butt
up.
is so big. That was
I
the joint.
like big butts and I cannot lie. You know what I'm saying?
That joint's crazy.
Nah, for real though, I think listen, he came hard at the whole skinny model movement. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of changed the game a little bit. But anyway, hip hop as a whole kind of changed the game on what the fly or bad woman looks like. in
Yeah,
my
right,
mind.
right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So
When you say that, let me just say this and make sure you're saying what I think you're saying. Like hip hop with the whole advent of like video vixens.
oh,
right?
of course, of
Yeah,
course.
that's it. Well said,
I
bro.
mean,
Yeah.
when you look at even so, check it out. Like, just to be transparent, I'm an ex porn addict. Like, I was addicted to pornography for years. You know, with my history and everything. Even if you look at the way pornography has changed throughout its history, you know what I'm saying? Like, in the women and how they looked and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
the women that are the new issues or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. Like, hip hop has just transcended cultures and changed the way the bad woman is supposed to look. You know what I'm saying? The woman that you're supposed to lust after and long after. So everybody now is super voluptuous. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah, so I was going to say break that down because I would say in the 80s when it was like blondes have more fun, at least among white men, girls were skinny but pretty, right?
right.
It was hip hop that brought the curves in. Like, okay, they got to be.
For
It
sure.
was because we black and Latino men, we like a little bit of meat on the bone.
For
right?
sure.
So
But even if you look at like the age of Marilyn Monroe though, there was some
Yeah.
curves going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There was thicker
yeah.
women back then that was the pop off.
that's true
Like,
though. That's true.
Yeah, so it kind of changes with cultures too in time, and just similar to clothing,
Yeah.
taste. You know what I'm saying? Changes.
Yeah, well said.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely Kim Kardashian has become, or not become, but I would say after like what was homegirl's name? Paris Hilton. Like after Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian was like the new thing.
Ultimate socialite. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for women of color, Beyonce came that. You know what I mean? Became that to a certain extent as well. I mean, but then when you look at the two of them, they're not like too different. You know what I'm saying? As far as how they look, it's like
Who's not?
I
too
mean,
different?
I'm sorry,
Who are the two you
Beyonce and Kim Kardashian. I
Yeah.
mean, as far as sizes and stuff, if you know, like they both have
Like
very
curves and
voluptuous
stuff? Yeah.
body curves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They both beautiful women in different ways.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they kind of fit that mold. They dress similar ways. They
Right.
show themselves certain ways, like their elegance. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, I
So,
agree.
yeah.
But I would say from my perspective, I feel like, and again, I don't know who this woman is in between. Now, I was too young. I wasn't alive when Marilyn Monroe was
Right.
out, right? I've only seen her, pictures of her, brief movie clips and all of that. But she was like America's sweetheart. Like this was, at least for white guys, they were just loving this girl, lusting after this girl.
Right.
She was it. And I think she may have single-handedly kind of created the desire to be blonde, and the blondes have more fun. I mean, her hairstyles, her makeup, I think people were dyeing their hairs blonde when they weren't, just to look like her, because that was what the culture, American culture, at least the majority culture, obviously
Right.
beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but the majority culture at the time wanted that blonde and, busty, all of that. And almost like dumb kind of, like the whole idea of being a dumb blonde. She actually wasn't dumb, but she played that in the movies and stuff. And so
Yeah.
So it was just sort of this person, but that was what like men just wanted her. Now there have been plenty of models from Marilyn Monroe, obviously.
I mean, she was a bad chick though. Marilyn Monroe was a bad chick from the photos.
Yeah, I mean the president was jumping
Yeah.
out there with her,
Right,
right?
right.
Kennedy was jumping out there.
Joe DiMaggio.
Joe
like,
DiMaggio
Cassius,
married
yeah.
her, but she was for the streets though. She didn't want to stay with Joe, right? So the thing is, like, she was like a cultural icon of her day,
Right.
to the point where like she was the most sold poster and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, and again, I'm sure there were plenty of other women when I grew up, and there were plenty of women that are attractive. What makes Kim different than Beyonce to me is that like Beyonce actually has real talent. Like
Oh,
she
yeah,
can
for
sing
sure.
and do all of that. So
Super
she
talented.
so she didn't get her popularity from being pretty or curvy. She got it from Destiny's Child, and then eventually went out on her own, and then marrying Jay-Z and all of that.
Oh, but she definitely using them curves.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
We're not.
that's, yeah.
That's not what we're saying. But what I'm saying is Kim K is different to me
Okay, I see what
because
you're saying. Yep.
Kim Kardashian. Because there's a lot of like there. I'm sure there are people that want to look and be like Beyonce, but nothing like Kim though. Like I've never seen in my lifetime. And again, but this is pre-social media. It may have been like this, but we just didn't have access to people. But I've never seen in my lifetime so many women want to have her look. Like I've never seen it. Like even her sister, Kylie, did not look like that. She was not really that attractive. And then next thing you know, she gets plastic surgery, wants to look like Kim, and they pulled it off. It actually worked. And then she becomes like the second most attractive one out of the group to most people. And because when Tiger was dating her, he must have been like, dang. He thought he was going to come up, but then she got that plastic surgery, and that was it. Then it was like...
Do you think Kanye had a role in it? And Kim
in her
becoming,
getting plastic surgery?
And Kim being who she is.
No, I don't.
No?
I don't. I think she actually helped him. Because Kanye was kind of a wild dude. He was boasting about putting on... He was with Amber... what was the bald-headed white girl's name? Amber something. Amber Rose. He was with her for...
Oh, okay, yep. I heard
He
that
was
name.
with her.
She was a
and then
hip-hop
that-
vixen
yeah.
John, too, yep.
Well, she was kind of like into porn and stuff, too, in that. So he just... That was kind of the persona that came off, is that's who she was. I think she was working at one of them dance clubs, right? So
That would have been after my era of diving into that stuff.
yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't into it, but I kept. I never really struggled with corn like that.
No, I'm not
You know,
even.
that
I'm not
wasn't-
even talking about you. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, just in general.
Anyway, I made that an issue. I said it was my issue. So.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he was with her. I think she actually gave him a measure of validity because by then
I agree with that. Yeah.
she was like, and again, I just, it's so fascinating to me because, so on one level you could say, wow, credit to the way the Lord gave her beauty, but two, how insecure are you that you really want to look like someone else? You get your hairstyles, you do the faces, all of that stuff. Like, I don't know who started the duck face, but a lot of people say she did that, and then that joint kind of took off. So it just made me think, like, because there were a lot of people that want to look like Marilyn Monroe. So even back then, way before social media, there's something about, and I talked about this in my last Kurt's Corner video I did earlier today, there's something about people being famous that you want to emulate. Like and I think there is an insecurity there. Like the Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. But a lot of people are not satisfied with the way they look.
Right.
And with Kim Kardashian, she came on the scene, and now like so many women look like her. I mean, so many and there were a lot of women that had her look before her, but there was something about her look that caught on, that blew up. And then now all these women pattern themselves after her look. Like, oh, they love her. Oh, you look like Kim K. They love that. And I just think, like, on one level, it's like, oh, okay, you kind of look like her. But on another level, I just wonder, how sad is that, though?
I know somebody that grew up trying to look like her. Like, her whole life, she was trying to look just like her.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you know, like, for what, though? What was she trying to get?
It was just what she wanted. she thought that that's what you needed to look like. She's, you know, she grew up trying to look like her. And everybody knew it. It wasn't like a hidden thing.
Right. Did she pull it off? Like, was she able to look like her at times?
Yeah, I think she, you know, she didn't get any work done on her face or nothing. You know, I mean, she was a beautiful girl in her own right.
Right.
But she definitely was trying to look like her. You know what I mean? Doing her makeup the way she would rock it, you know, to change her face to look like her. You know, the gear she would rock,
it's
trying
so
to work out
fascinating.
to make sure, yeah.
So let's switch gears for a second. Who are the guys that you think guys are trying to be like? Guys don't usually try to look like someone. Like, women try to look like another woman. And there's a reason why. We'll get to that in a second. Guys usually want to act like, they want to be like another dude. They don't usually want to look like another dude. Mm-hmm. We usually want to be like someone. It's really interesting, and I'm going to explain why I think that is in a minute.
I don't know.
Who was the guy that you think like people wanted to be like?
I mean, that people want to be. The only one I could think off top that I hear often is people are oftentimes praising Jay-Z for who he is in his position. So I can see people, you know, aspiring to be in that position, especially with what he's done and how much he's achieved, you know, or like a Diddy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
shit, I don't know if anybody should want to be like that dude.
Pause. But anyway,
take that.
That takes a whole nother
man, that's
meaning.
a whole nother meaning after we know what's up with that dude now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take that, anyway, fam.
I mean, I don't even know, like, as far as actors and anything like that, I don't know who people would, you know, want to emulate. I remember, you know, back in the day, people wanted to be like Pac, you know what I'm saying? And people
like Mike. I mean, Michael Jordan was
like
the
Mike,
big thing.
Of course.
That was the big push. Like Mike,
yeah.
I want to be like Mike. I want to be,
definitely.
Like Mike.
Yeah.
I would say in this era, like right now, and this might not last long, but it's interesting how Andrew Tate became, for a lot of dudes, mostly white dudes, he became the new, like, this is who we want to be like.
See, that's just I'm so far removed from that kind of person that I'm just like, that's mad corny to me the way he is. So I can't even see, like, I'm not around anybody that wants to be like him.
Right.
And I don't watch nothing that says anybody want to be like him. So.
Right. And I'm not, but I have to do, because we do these videos.
I know,
keep
definitely.
Right?
I'm just saying why he wouldn't even jump in my brain.
Yeah.
Like,
but him, like guys like Fresh and Fit. You know, here's the thing about Fresh and Fit that kind of is wild to me, right? So Fresh and Fit are two dudes. Fresh is the black dude. Myron Fit, the Arabian dude. I forgot where he's from. Egypt or something. Mm-hmm. He's Islam. He grew up in Islamic country. I forgot where he's from.
This is the dudes that they booted off of from monetization and all that.
Yeah, they took their monetization.
Okay.
Yeah. I did a video about it, saying that it wasn't about free
that.
speech. Yeah. So what's interesting about those dudes? Here's what's funny, right? These guys blew up by bringing. I don't know how they blew up, just crushing girls, like just targeting, saying the most vilest thing to women, and then getting women that were, some of them attractive, to come on their show and they just crush them. And there was stuff that they said, I think, that was like, yeah, I think that's legitimate. Like that's.
And they blew up like that by just embarrassing people?
Right, they would do that. They would do that a lot. But you know what's funny about them? Like for all their mockery of women, like, especially the black dude, he was an ugly dude, bro. Like, if he were if I were ever on that show, they'd make fun of me of being fat, but I would crush those. Like, those dudes are not, like, they may be in shape, like, physically, but, like, that dude was like he's an ugly dude, bro. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, these dudes are crushing women because they just couldn't get none before they got on with this show, right? Like, I just think they was just herbs.
They just salty.
They're just salty, and they're doing it. But they blew up. But so some people didn't want to. People wanted to be like them, but they didn't want to. But there's a difference, though. Women want to look like other women. Dudes want to be like other women, like other men. And it's really fascinating when you look at it, because, and I think the reason why is because for women, there's a pressure on women to be pretty.
To meet
like I think women get, like, there's just such a pressure, man.
Right, and if the ugly dude gets the pretty chick, then he got his props. Yeah, right. He got his props.
Right. There's such a pressure, and I'm gonna explain why. There's a different pressure on guys, But there's a pressure on women to be. Remember a couple of years ago, we did this episode maybe 2 years ago, season 3, maybe 3 years ago. We didn't do a full episode on this, but we talked about like like parents who were suing like Facebook and Instagram and stuff because their daughters were having like, I forgot what kind of disorder it was, some kind of anxiety, right? Because they felt like they had to keep up with the social media standard. And it was affecting them neurologically, like neurobiologically. They were struggling with these different disorders and all of it. They said that girls 13 and up have the highest depression rate because they're looking at these girls with all these filters on, all the, when you look at a magazine cover, like a lot of them, especially nowadays, they're airbrushed. They make your bodies look like what they would consider perfect. And there's so much pressure on girls to be pretty that it kind of is really sad on one level. So it's almost like, so when there's someone that's pretty, it makes sense to me that they're all like, we want to look like her, right?
Right.
Because they want to be accepted. Like women want to be, everyone wants to be accepted. But women, for different reasons, women want to be accepted more for love and relationships. Even though now today, there's so much ratchetness going around, right? that women sometimes are trying to carry like dudes. But women typically want to be accepted for the sake of love and security and stuff like that. And men is different. We'll get to that in a second. But I just noticed that there's such a pressure on women to be pretty, and that's why. Like I know we were talking about this not too long ago. I have no idea. Like I love watching those cosmetology people who like makeup, people who do makeup for weddings, right?
They're wild. They're artists.
Bro.
They're artists.
Did I show you that? There was a video that I saw, bro. A video where this girl, just without makeup on, just bare face, looked one way. Like not like, oh, let me how much? Nothing. She did a 17-minute video, bro, of her just putting on a ton of makeup.
Switched everything up.
Bro, Slim, I'm kidding you not. When that video, I ain't watched the whole video. I just scrubbed to the end. I was like, I ain't watching this whole joint.
Right.
The end of that video, she looked so different that I had to back up and make sure they ain't switch. And it was like you see her and be like, man, I want. But then in the
it's
morning,
the lighting, fam. It's the lighting.
No, it's the makeup, bro. I don't know what it
No, I'm
is.
saying it's the way you capture the lighting with the makeup, with the highlights, with the darks. Like you could change your whole face, make it look like something different.
It's totally different, right? And so as I'm watching this, I just thought, wow. And in the video, it was I think she sped it up, so it probably took longer than 17 minutes. It was sped up a little bit, but I just thought, wow, bro. On one level, cool, but I just also thought, like, how sad that is. That, like, I don't know how she figured out if I put this much makeup on and pull my hair like this and do this to my eyebrows and do that I'll look like a supermodel. Like, I don't know how she thought of that, right? But there's so much pressure on women to be pretty that it creates this insecurity. Like, there are a lot of women who are insecure. Even like for everything, they have babies. Like, oh no, my body is like they're just always worried about how they look because the pressure of society. Because society always is putting pressure. Women got to always be pretty. I want you to wear heels, pumps, all this stuff all the time. I remember being in high school and there were girls that nobody was interested in, and then they'd show up at like homecoming or prom and be like, "Dad." Because they had like a cake of makeup on. All of a sudden, you're like, man, I might see what's up, It's just really, it's fascinating. There's a pressure on women to be pretty. So to be like Kim Kardashian is like, boom, because she's like the it girl. And still is. I mean, she's held the crown for a long time, bro.
And she ain't getting younger, you know what I'm saying? But she's still holding it down. People still
holding the crown.
Yeah, I guess.
Still think she's the standard look. It's wild. There's a pressure on women. For guys, there's a pressure on guys to be rich,
right?
To be successful. That's why guys don't. No one's saying I want to. Yeah, no one's saying I want to look like Andrew Tate or look like. It's I want to be who he is. I want to have his influence. So that's what the whole red pill like movement was. The red pill movement was just like men crushing women and talking about like, you know, alpha males and beta males and all these stupid categories, bro, that you just see when you get into it, you just see it. But there's a pressure on men to be successful and rich because if you get that, then you
That's
get
always
the pretty
been there.
girl. That's always been there.
Yeah.
It's a pressure. So guys, it's a rare occasion that I hear a guy be like, man, I wish I looked like him. Guys don't want to look like, we want to be that dude. We want the influence, the power. That's why Andrew Tate, boy, that dude is a clown. But he was making money selling his he had a course, man. I don't know. I forgot what it was, but basically he had a course that he was selling that you could be like him. Like I
Right.
think it was like pimpology or something. Something like that.
How to use women, basically, is what
Basically,
it was.
yeah, how to manipulate women and to do it. And what's fascinating is that's what people are gravitating towards.
All the
I think
time.
there's a lot of guys who are just so insecure. So there are a lot of women who are so insecure they want to look like her or always have makeup on or just they're afraid to not have makeup on. I don't know if you know who Just Pearly Things is. She's kind of a female, real pale white woman. She's kind of a female version of like Andrew Tate, but she's not sexual. She kind of has like morals, but she's kind of self-righteous and she's always crushing women, right? Always saying like they're just but she had a good point one day. She said, she had a video and she said these girls were calling her ugly and stuff like that. Cause I mean, you know, she's not like amazing. Like you wouldn't see her and be like, oh man. So,
Right.
so she was like, yeah, these girls are calling me ugly. But she said, but say that after you take off all your makeup. Say that when you take off the fake eyelashes and say that because
Right.
she's pretty much herself. I mean, she has a little bit of makeup on, but she's pretty much, that's what she's going to look like in the morning, right?
Right.
And she made a good point, like, that she said, you're saying, like, yeah, these girls have a ton of makeup on. They're always looking, and they're saying, I'm ugly, but this is how I look. You take off all that makeup, and a lot of women they're not confident. They're not.
You take off them filters, and a lot of women ain't
They're
confident.
not. Them skin blemishes show up. It's fascinating. But for guys, there's a pressure to be rich, man. And the pressure is because if you can get rich, then you can have all the girls. You can have the pretty girls. You don't even got to be in shape. Guys care about being
Yo, them
successful.
the Bow Wow videos.
Remember that
hilarious.
joint? Remember that
What?
joint? Explain the Bow
Funny,
Wow
bro.
video for people who don't know what that is.
So basically, Bow Wow was just putting up images of himself on the gram, portraying himself as what was not happening, but like if he was popping on the jet with money, but stuff that you would expect him to have because
Yeah,
of
you
his popularity. You know what I'm saying? Like his celebrity status. But the thing is, it ain't always cut out to be
It's
the
not
way they
real.
present it to be. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
real, exactly. So when you're looking at these joints and you're seeing how cats be exposing it, because one minute somebody took a picture showing my man take a picture
That
of
was
himself
crazy,
as a selfie.
That was crazy, bro.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And he got
man.
clown for that too. He got
Yeah,
clown
he
big
got
time for that.
clown. He deserved to get clown for that.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
should.
you can't pull a move, especially when you got the status. You're supposed to be able to maintain that status at least before everybody's eyes. We expect that, you know. Once you bow wow for the rest of your life.
That's true, bro. And so but again, there's an expectation. You'll lie to give This is why. So let's go a step further, right? So you talked about hip hop bringing in like curvy women and making them more the standard.
Right.
But the other thing that hip hop did was bring in like the false lifestyle,
For
right?
sure.
The rented
Cribs.
cars, jewelries, houses, and making it look like. And to me, and these are supposed to be the most go hard, like gangster dudes, right?
Right.
But if you really think about why would you present yourself like you have something that you don't? Like why would you ride around in a car that you know is not yours? Why would
Yeah.
you rap about doing something you know you don't do or boasting about something you don't have?
There's a whole there's a whole there's websites on spots and locations that you can rent to fake the funk and shoot videos in and do whatever in. I mean, that's anybody who's in the music industry knows that.
Right. And to me, when I think about that, like if you're a rap artist and that's what you're doing, underneath it all, you may look like you got a tough veneer and this, bravado, but you're just insecure.
Do you think?
You're insecure. Like that's the real thing. You're insecure.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, think about this. It's really wild if you really think about, like, why would you do that? Like, if you're a real dude, you're going to walk in the streets and you ain't going, but when you're looking like you got money, you got girls that are, they're not dating you, they're not hanging out with you, but you're giving an image of something that you're not.
Right.
It's because you're insecure. It's really fascinating. And these are supposed to be gangsters, right?
It says a lot about what they find their identity in, too.
100%.
Where does your identity lie?
100%. You know what? Also,
to asking where does your heart lie?
And this is what it was. I tell my boys this. I tell my sons this all the time. Like sometimes you ever watch those videos where people come on and be like, "Listen, I don't care what any of you think. Like you guys are just like weirdos, like making comments about me, and I'm here to tell you I'm doing me. Like I don't care what you think. I don't care."
Right.
I tell my kids all the time. I don't say it all the time, but when it comes up, I say, "Boys, if you want people to know you don't care what they think, then you care what they think." It's just like if I'm going to make a video to tell you I don't care what you think,
it's because
I want you to know that I don't care what you think because I care what you think.
It's because you care, for sure.
It's because you care. So it's
you don't waste the time to do it unless you care.
Yeah.
That's evidence right there.
It's just fascinating, right? It's fascinating. Actually, it's funny on this note. So Ruslan put out a video, I think it was today or yesterday, where he was looking at an interview with Nicki Minaj. And Nicki Minaj was interviewing with Joe Budden. And Nicki Minaj told this story of being in the studio with Future. One of the biggest all Future talks about is Percocets, Molly's, all of that, right? You know what was wild to me? I heard this story. I heard this Juice WRLD himself say it, that he started using drugs because of Future. And when he met Future, he told him that.
Yeah, I heard that story.
You heard that story? And then Future, he OD'd, right?
Yeah.
On those drugs. But little Nicki Minaj told Joe Budden that she was with him in the studio and that Future said to her, like, yeah, all these people think like I do drugs and stuff. But he said, I'm a lightweight. Like he doesn't. Like to do all the stuff that those guys are doing, you really can't do drugs at that volume and put out that type of, you'll be just a fool. Like you'll just
see, that's the kind of stuff that makes you realize or makes you wonder, like, when people talk about celebrities or certain people of a certain stature being the puppets of Satan.
Yeah.
That's 100%. When you're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's a connection there.
I agree. But I would say this. I think that's true in the eternal big picture sense, right?
Right.
I believe that. But I think more so people are puppets to their own insecurities.
For sure.
Because in all honesty, no one can, even with a gun to your head, no one can make you do anything.
Right.
The thing that will make you do something with a gun to your head is the fear of dying. Mm-hmm. No one can make you. Everything we do is a choice. It may not seem like that, but no one, even if you put a gun to my son's head and said, if you don't do this, you're not making me do it. Me not wanting you to hurt or kill my son is why I'm doing it. So all these people who are slaves of the devil, in the grand scheme, yes. 2 Timothy 2:26 says these people have been taken captive to do the devil's will. I'll give it that. Mm-hmm. But they're also a slave to their own insecurities because they don't want to lose the money, the popularity. Their own desires. They don't. Yeah. They don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So for women, there's an incredible pressure to be pretty, and honestly, I feel bad for women. I do. I feel bad for women in many ways because. It's kind of funny, but it is funny. I ain't gonna pretend like it's not funny because it's funny.
I mean, we kind of at fault for that too, though.
No, we are
as men.
Yeah, there's a lot that we're at fault, but again, So are women, because
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
it's your desire to be accepted and perceived a particular way that's making you do that. I mean, how many times have you seen this? I don't know if your wife is on this, but I see this happen a lot, especially when I like travel and I go to different cities. You'll see women walking, and you can tell by the way they're walking, their feet are killing them, bro. I mean, you could tell she either grew up in the hood, like where I'm from, walking like that, or her feet are killing her, fam. But she's got to wear those pumps because that's the way it. I mean, I've seen women walk where I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, now Flora's an oddball, man. She's actually, I mean, when we got together, she was comfortable in pumps. Like she'd do a cartwheel in pumps. So
Right.
she's a little
And there's some that are like that, no question. I ain't
but
saying
I've
everyone
seen what
does
you're
it.
talking about, though. I've seen women struggling in them Jones, and I know
Hurt,
it ain't.
bro.
Yeah, I've
I'm
seen.
talking about hurt locker.
I've seen pregnant feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
With chunky
right.
women wearing the Jones with the feet look pregnant. You know what
Swelled
I'm saying?
up and still.
Yeah. Hey, don't do it.
It's like, Ma, don't do it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But there's such a pressure. Like, and this is, since we're on this, I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna move on from this. I do not, for the life of me, understand fake eyelashes. Bro,
I hate those things.
I don't
hate
get
them.
it. Now listen, all the men
like-
enhance their appearance by dressing up and wearing cologne. That's pretty much how we enhance our appearance.
You know what though? Dudes be fronting. They be up here with that, what's that, Beijing? You know what I'm saying? And they
the
beards
beard.
and
If you can grow it in, though, a
hairlines.
lot of dudes can't grow it in, right?
It
So
don't
a lot
even
of-
matter. Dudes be doing the
Yeah.
Beijing over stuff that don't even
Right.
grow in, fam.
Right,
It
right.
looks
No,
like the
that's true.
caterpillars to me, the eyelashes
That's
with
true.
the caterpillars.
That's true. But let's just be honest though, bro. I don't know what has happened, fam. But I'll see girls. Like I can understand maybe you just put a little something on to make. I don't know what it is, but I have seen girls with fake eyebrows so long they look like a peacock's feathers.
Eyelashes,
Like
them Jones
them eyelashes look like peacocks, bro.
It's
like
wild.
the NBC logo. Fam, there was this one
They be
girl,
like closing on you. Like,
bro. That joint is like the all-seeing eye.
Yes, wow.
Like, bro, it's like, look, eyelashes like this, bro. They look like hands on your eyes,
Right.
And then you got long fingernails trying to
They
take
close
my
their
order.
eyes when it's hot and you be getting some
Bro,
wind. You know what I'm
if
saying?
you sneeze, you will. Peter will be offended because you will put your whole fur on somebody. I don't understand that. And some of them like, dude, it's just too much. Like, mama, somebody's
get it.
lying to you. You don't have real friends. Like,
Yeah, I don't
come
get
hang with me for. I don't get it, but it's the pressure on women to
Right.
be pretty, to be the Marilyn Monroes, the Kim Kardashians. But really, what's happening is it's really just an insecurity. There's no way that anyone's going to stand before God and be like, why were you doing that? Why did you have to do that? Why did you pretend like you were from here and you weren't? And I mean, we've all done it. We've all pretended like we're from a tougher neighborhood than we're from or whatever. There's some kind of, I'm not comfortable being myself, that I would rather look like this person, this celebrity, if you're a woman. Or I'd rather be like this dude. I want to be like him. I want to imitate him. I want people to think I'm like him. I think it's just sad, bro. We are celebrating insecurity and we're calling it beauty or calling it body positivity or calling it, the street life, gangsterism.
Yeah,
We're celebrating insecurity, bro. I mean, a lot of hip hop, a lot of the toughest gangsters in hip hop, if that wasn't your real jewelry or your real house or then you're insecure.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the women, the surgeries, like all of the stuff that they doing. I mean, social media as a whole, like you're talking about when people change, those avatars have become their real lives,
Bro,
yeah.
that's a statement. That's a bar right there.
Yeah.
Those avatars have become their real lives.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the plastic surgery paradigm.
Right.
Like like, don't get me wrong. If there are times when plastic surgery is necessary for some particular reason to cover up, but the majority of the plastic surgery that happens today And they call it vanity, like the vanity man, and we think it's vanity, and I'm sure it is that, but a lot of it is insecurity. There are people, women will risk their lives to fly to another country like Mexico, get these butt shots, right?
Oh, they do it all the time.
All the
Yeah,
time.
they do it all
For
the time.
what? Like you're not satisfied with how you look or what you have, and so you see.
You know how for like the war on drugs has certain slogans and stuff. One of them was like marijuana was the gateway
entry
drug.
right? Gateway
Remember that?
drug, yeah.
So I think social media has kind of become the gateway drug for plastic surgery and for
excessive insecurity.
Yeah, man, it's become the gateway drug. Now, I mean, cats are out here, females in particular, like you talking about, as far as the prettiness is concerned, they gotta shift themselves to look like the Instagram baddie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if not, the dude next, down the street ain't gonna look at them and holler at them.
Right.
Like, it's interesting too, though, because they want the attention. But if you look at them a little too long, you're gonna get, you're gonna get told something.
Yeah, right. You know what's also interesting too, though? if you don't get the right because here's the thing about, I don't know how the way God created the body, right? The way He created us. But if you get the wrong plastic surgeon, you can't undo what happened.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah.
So like you'll see, particularly with women, you'll see these women get like multiple surgeries and they look like cats.
It's because they're putting waste in there. Like it's bad, man.
But but why cats though? It's almost like proof of evolution. Some of these people they look like. You ever see that Broadway play Cats? When they look like the island of Dr. Moreau. Like I don't get it. And people be telling them like, oh, you look great, but your lips are really big. Look like Mad Magazine when your lips are really big, your face is all
right.
And it's because you can't go back. You can't do it. And there are people that I was like, oh man, why did you do that?
Little Kim.
Yeah, like you were fine. Like, why did you do that?
Little Kim looks terrible.
Terrible, bro. And you can never take it back.
And she was a pretty lady. Like, you know what I mean? She was a pretty girl. She just straight, I don't know what happened.
It's just plastic. As a matter of fact, plastic surgery goes back, right? But we read this article that gave like the evolution of plastic surgery. I mean, back to the Egyptian days when they would do plastic. That was crazy, right?
Yeah.
We read this article. Let me read a little bit of this article, right? It's called From Ancient Egypt to Beverly Hills, A Brief History of Plastic Surgery. I want to just read an excerpt or two from this. It says, plastic surgery has become synonymous with the quest for youth and beauty, which it is. Albeit, even though the Bible talks about like gray hair being wisdom, right? A sign of wisdom. Albeit with varying degrees of success, which is true. But the field has for centuries been driven by medical necessity, and it has nothing to do with plastic. The discipline derives its name from the Greek word plastikos, to mold or give form. And while the idea of perfecting yourself surgically is a relatively recent phenomenon, there is evidence of reconstructive surgery going back to antiquity. So a point is like the plastic surgery to look better, to fix my nose or my lips or get a facelift, that's recent. But there has been plastic surgery going as far back as ancient Egypt. So this says, the oldest known procedures appear in an ancient Egyptian medical text called the Edwin Smith Papyrus, thought to be an early trauma surgery textbook and named after the American Egyptologist who purchased it in 1862. The treatise contains detailed case studies for a variety of injuries and diagnoses. So there was plastic surgery back then, but what was crazy was the anesthetic was wine, bro.
That's wild.
Woo-hoo.
That's so wild.
That's crazy.
Like, you know how much wine you got to drink to be numb to something like that?
Right.
You got to drink a whole lot of wine.
You know how strong them people got to be, though, to get themselves cut up just on the strength of that?
I mean, that would speak to the level of necessity that the surgery was for. You know what I'm saying? Like, because ain't nobody doing that because they want their booty to be bigger.
Right. So it says this in here, right? They weren't doing that back then.
No, man.
In ancient India, there was a practice of having one's nose removed as punishment for adulterous acts or other acts that were against the law at the time. It was a public sign of shame. If you walked around with an absent nose, people knew that you had done something.
Yeah, they did it for adultery. That's kind of
Wow, that's
wild.
crazy. So there were plastic surgery was happening for people to get that stuff fixed. It said that there were two schools of thought: that the skin was either from the forehead or the cheek, but to basically raise the skin and underlying fat before transporting it to the area of the nose. So people who had that happen would pay to get skin taken from somewhere else to cover their nose because it was embarrassing. But it really was never. So there was plastic surgery, but it's not
Right.
until war happened, right? Not until war, when, like during World War One, the sheer volume of patients with facial injuries, coupled with advances in blood transfusion and infection control, allowed doctors to experiment with innovative new techniques, according to Andrew Bamji from his book Faces from the Front. If you got 100 patients to learn from, that actually isn't very many, given the various types of injuries you can have. But if you got 5,000 patients, it's a different game altogether, right? So there was this guy who wrote a book on sort of the history of modern plastic surgery. And a lot of it came because when people would go to war, shrapnel, different things would disfigure them, and they would get plastic surgery for that. But after that, it slowly became about what people call vanity, which I'm calling really insecurity. So he says this. He said the post-war period saw drastic changes for the field. Improved technology, diminished risk, and increased disposable income all contributed to plastic surgery's growing popularity, as did a surplus of doctors after the end of the war. You've got all these plastic surgeons that haven't got anything else to do. Once they were done with all the wartime casualties, of which there were vast numbers, then they can go on with other things. By the 1960s, in the US especially, many of today's most common cosmetic procedures, such as breast augmentation, rhinoplasty, and face reshaping, were becoming more commonplace. Innovation was still driven by the needs of trauma patients or those suffering from cancer disfigurements, but the technology could be used to vainer ends. And then it starts to explain how over the next 30 or 40 years, the desire for plastic surgery had much less to do with war or cancer, but just, I want to change how I look. And I don't know. Well, it says here in the article that the emergence of Botox originally, this is what Botox originally was a treatment for strabismus or cross-eyed, right? So back in the 60s and 70s, if you were cross-eyed, right, you would get Botox and it would fix it. That's what it was originally for. Then it said the injections were later harnessed by the cosmetic industry for their skin smoothing properties and were approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to treat frown lines in 2002. So initially it was to fix cross eyes. Then it would fix frown lines, right? Remove those lines, the wrinkles essentially, right, that make you look old. And then it just talks, it goes on and on and on. It says it took a plastic surgery explosion boom of the 1990s, which saw the volume of procedures in America grow tenfold. For cosmetic procedures to begin outnumber reconstructive ones. In other words, people were getting cosmic procedures. I want my nose to look different, more than my face is disfigured from a car accident. It shifted, and I don't know what. And as we get more social media and get into that, it's become an idolatrous pursuit of insecurity, trying to solve it. According to ASPS data, 15.6 million cosmic procedures were carried out in the U.S. last year. This article from 2021.
That's crazy.
So think about that. If the articles in 2021, this is a crazy reality. Think about this. The articles was written in 2021. It said 15.6 million cosmetic procedures were carried out in the U.S. last year. The last year would have been 2020, COVID. So there were 15.6 million cosmic procedures during COVID, bro.
That's so
People
wild,
weren't
bro.
even outside, bro.
That's so crazy.
But think about that. That's a crazy thought, though. Because people weren't outside, all you had was social media. People weren't seeing you, so they saw your face. They saw this, they saw that. So there was a rise in people paying to get surgery done, probably to gain people thinking they're beautiful online, to then hopefully after COVID's out, you look differently because of it, right? Like, that's crazy that 15.6 million. It said new technology continues to drive the sector's growth, with some 85% of procedures considered minimally invasive. Wow. So there's just I just think it's realistic to say that we have created in our society an idolization of people's insecurities. We celebrate it. We cheer it on. We want people to do things to, quote unquote, look better and not be satisfied with themselves. And this is why, bro, while I don't agree with this woman at all, this is why I did appreciate Lizzo a little bit. Because Lizzo was like, I'm going to push back against what they call body shaming. I understand why. I get it. That's why you can call it woke if you want, all that's fine. But I try to understand, why are people doing this? Where does it come from? Not just, oh, it's woke to me. While she's completely wrong, right? But the point is that for so long, society created an insecure complex that now people are pushing the pendulum swing the other way. So now, instead of trying to be healthy for just health reasons, they're not ignoring the health part. They're pushing back against the standards of beauty that made them insecure. And being overweight, you feel insecure. So now these overweight people are pretending like they're not insecure because they're tired of having felt insecure for all these years. I mean, even models who were working the model industry, who were not, they felt insecure. They were told, like, you can't eat for like 5-6 days.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
You gotta look skinny. Yep. I mean, they would talk about the horror.
I've seen documentaries talking about that. Yep.
Bruh, so this ain't even. So I understand why Lizzo and them and people who are fat do that. I identify as skin. I don't get it. It's not from a health perspective, nah, fam. But from a anthropological, sort of sociological perspective, I understand why they did it. I understand why they're pushing back. Because they're tired of feeling insecure, because they're overweight and feeling societies. So now the pressure is on society to not body shame. And people say, well, that's just woke. But nah, what it is it's the universe correcting itself. Because for so long, you created this standard of beauty or standard of success that the majority of people will never reach. Will never reach the standards that have been put out. And then as technology catches up with the standards, then you can even make it look like it should be more attainable. So now there are apps that can smooth out your skin.
Yo, that's wild. When I saw the picture of, what was it, Khloe Kardashian, when the images, because I thought she really got work done. Like, I really thought she got her whole face switched up. And it was just the apps.
It was apps. They
to
have
sell products.
They have apps that will
That's
change
crazy.
the way you look. Why? Because we have created a society of insecure individuals, men and women. Even the most gangster street dudes have pretended like they have attained a level of commercial and financial success that's just not real.
I mean, that was the whole theme behind the show Cribs.
That's exactly right.
That's what it was. You know,
all those shows lied.
Right,
even
that's
like
why
Pimp My Ride, they were all fake.
Yeah, there was a lot.
But
of
Cribs was one of the fakest.
Yeah, that's why. Reggie Noble.
Yeah.
Reggie Noble
Red
had
Man.
that. He put him on blast. He just had his own beat up crib with his broken doorbell. Cat sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, all of it, and it was funny. But that's what I mean. Like, even that MTV Cribs, MTV Cribs was like the low, but it was high quality in terms of production. But it was really the fake me out, like, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Robin Leach joint.
For sure.
Right?
That's what it was.
Those people had real money, right? They was
Yeah.
But it was like and you would expect these celebrities to have money, but that's the thing. Why do you need to pretend like you have it when you don't?
Right.
It's because we're insecure.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. And honestly, this is going to sound maybe like a little bit of a flip, but I think even the vitriol that comes out of people arguing online, like, is because they're insecure. Like,
Right.
I need you to see that I'm right. Like, I mean, I've seen so
Well, I
many
just
things,
need you to
bro.
value my opinion
Yep.
enough to listen to it.
Or I value my opinion so much. Yeah, I
Right.
need you to value it. I need to tell you
Right.
that you're wrong so that you can.
Right.
You know how many times people have responded to me with these? I'm talking about. It probably took you a couple of hours to write that post just off a video I made. It's just like, fam, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you because you had to read that joint, write it, mess some words up, fix it, edit it, and then press send.
Right.
This is YouTube comment section, fam. I'm not writing no book, but I'll just be like, cool, thanks for letting me know. Keep it moving. I mean, every once in a while I'll respond back. But it's like a lot of what this isn't boldness, right? It's not even, it's hatred, but it's more like it's insecurity masked as aggression. What they call passive aggressive, right? You're doing it because you're on a keyboard or you're on your phone. You never have to stand in front of this person and say this to them. And you never have to really show that you're really insecure. It is, we have created a culture of self uncertainty. That, like, people,
Self-uncertainty.
it's just like you either gotta pretend like you're something you're not, pretend like you'll do something you're not, to pretend like you look in a certain way, or pretend like you have something you don't. And we celebrate it, bro. We encourage it. And I know with my kids, I'm just trying to tell them I don't want them to be like that.
Right.
I don't want my kids to feel like that. That's why it's just like, I think,
But that's the fake is what we live for now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like the lies and the fake and all of those things have helped us to hide what we have to face about ourselves, the truth
Yeah.
that we have to face about ourselves, including sin. So we mask it with all other kinds of things. You know, we mask it with different type of personalities that are not really who we are.
Yeah.
We mask it with trying to assimilate to a different culture that we're not really a part of. You know, we do all of those different things to just basically continue the fake, keep the fake going
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, even things like what we talked about earlier when I mentioned pornography, it's fake. It's a
Yeah.
lie.
It's fake.
And yet we mask again, and because we want to keep the fake going. Those are images that are created. It's the same concept. Like it's this fake fantasy that you and your brain and your hand and whatever else is involved gets to partake in, but it's when it's over, it's over. It's a fake
It's over.
process. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? It's not real. It's just them videos was fake, most of them.
Yeah.
I mean that none of that was real, and we grew up thinking it was the most popping situations and popping life. I mean, Pumps in the Bump video, fam. MC Hammer
I'm
around
saying
the
pumps
pool.
in the bump. Pumps in the bump. We like
What did
that, girl. Man, what?
That sold some kind of image. I mean, my man had the longest, biggest sock in his drawers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the whole thing sold the image that people saw and wanted to try to recreate. I mean, Death Row
Yeah.
Records, like everybody,
it,
you know,
everyone.
Diddy with the flashy suits. I
Right,
mean, he
all of it.
created a whole movement with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the fake that people want to keep going because they don't want to have to face the reality. It's the suppression of truth and unrighteousness.
There it
Ultimately,
is.
is what it
There
comes
it
down
is.
to.
There it is. And that's
Yeah.
all. That's where, to me, the most satanic thing about the music industry is not Doja Cat or Little Nas X lap
Right.
dancing with Satan, because Satan doesn't
Though
look
those
like
are
that.
very imagery, like
Well, those-
demonically driven, though.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, though. I'm
I
not
know what you're
saying
saying,
they're not
though, yeah.
demonic.
Right.
But I'm saying, but that's not how Satan looks, though. We
Right.
have no biblical exegetical evidence
None at
that
all.
Satan is all
None at
red
all.
with horns.
None at
That-
all.
and with a tail. That is all comes from during the the period of enlightenment, the age of enlightenment.
Dark Ages.
Yeah, they all comes from a rejection of Christianity during the age of enlightenment period, where the idea of reason and science supersede faith. And that was a way to almost belittle the reality of who Satan is by making him this little mischievous red devil with a long tail and horns. The Bible does not describe him like that at all.
Right.
So when I say satanic, that's what we're trained to think is
Yeah.
satanic. To me, the most satanic thing about the music industry is the level of fakeness and the striving to be fake and not really represent like who you really are.
Right.
That's why, like, you know how we use the phrase like, "Oh man, they're just down to earth," right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so refreshing to be around someone who's just chilling, who's not. There's no pretense.
Right.
They just are who they are.
Right. They're not on edge. They're not defensive. They're not
No,
worried
they're just
about
chilling.
every single
Just
thing that
chilling.
you're thinking or saying.
People, you respect people like that because it's so rare, and that's why I think Satan has a bigger stronghold. He's the author of confusion, and he's the opposite of truth. So if he presents things as if they're true but they're not, and it's a lie, well, he's the father of lies. I think more than, and this is why I think actually the Doja Cat, the whole demon stuff, I think we're trained to think that's how Satan is. And so we only think that's satanic when we see that. When
Well,
we
I mean,
don't see that, we don't think it's satanic, and that's how he gets us.
for a lot of it, I think you're right. I mean, the only thing is with like the Doja Cat in particular, I do want to say, I know people and myself as well, the imageries that we've had in our past with experiences of dark images in the room, moving,
Right,
things like
yeah.
that. What she did in that video is very reminiscent
No,
of
that's
tales
true.
that I've heard of people having those encounters. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, what you're saying though is true. There has been a false image of Satan created, like he's a game. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Right, yeah.
why not? I mean, why wouldn't he make himself look like a game to people?
Well, I mean, I've said this plenty of times on our show and on the Kurt's Corner videos, is the scripture says, 2 Corinthians 11, that Satan appears as an angel of light.
Right.
Right? 2 Corinthians 11. It says he appears as an angel of righteousness, right?
Yeah.
An angel of
Yeah.
light. So Satan's job is to not look demonic like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's not demonic and that's not genuine. What I'm saying is we're trained to think that's demonic, but not the faking and pretending like you're something that you're not.
Right. Right.
Not the, that's not demonic. That's, and the reason
So
why
it
I'm saying
loses
is,
the severity. It loses how. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
not only does it lose the severity, it blinds us to not
Yep.
see what he's really doing.
Yeah, that's
Because,
what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, we lose the sharpness to be like,
Yep,
wait a minute.
Yep.
But like Satan appears as and I've said this before, that he has to appear as an angel of light because God created human beings in his image.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, all human beings, and this is what Calvinists get this wrong, all human beings are made with God, made in God's image, and there is a semblance of wanting to do good things. Most people are not trying to destroy the world and ruin it. Now, their good works cannot earn them salvation, but there's a reason why non-Christian police officers and firemen were running into 9/11. There's a
Yeah, I mean,
reason why doctors go to Africa to try to help people, or people go to work for Blue Cross and Richard and try to build wells. They're not believers at all. They're not doing it. There's something, every religion, you will not find a credible religion that is hell bent on destruction. They're
Yeah, I mean, the
all
Lord
bent
doesn't-
on moralism.
The Lord, in His Word, even it doesn't say that men are incapable of doing any good acts.
Right,
It just says that their good acts are as filthy rags
Right,
before His righteousness.
right, 100%.
You know what I mean? So
But you know, because we come from that background where some people will act like, no, man, no one is good but God alone, right? We understand that. But because all human beings are made in God's image, there is
they understand good.
They understand
see it
some
and
level
they
of
can-
righteousness. They get
Sure.
it. They
Justice.
They get it. Justice, all of it. They get it, right?
Yeah.
And my point is, like, Satan has to confine himself to that because he's not stronger than God. So Satan will never create religions that are all about destruction. He will create religions that are about distraction. So it's destruction, but it's destruction by means of distraction. You won't find Charles Manson and them. Those are rare occasions because most people aren't going to do that. They're not going to be serial because most people want to be good people. There's not Islam, Buddhism, Baha'i faith, Jehovah's Witness. Everyone has in its end to be a better person. I mean, reincarnation is You're going to come back and try to be a better person than you were in your previous life, right? That's inherently because we're all made in God's image. So Satan has to create moralism, and that looks like, oh, this is good, and this is why people leave the faith. When you just think of Christianity as moralism, then it's like, well, it's not different than Islam. They pray, they do this, they do that. Jehovah's Witness knock on doors and share the gospel. They do all these things too. That's how Satan has to operate, because he's not, he can't create, so he has to try to subvert what God did. Because people are made in God's image, you're going to see people wanting to do good things, but those good things, without faith in Jesus Christ, are just moral assimilation. Satan appears as right. He has no problem with. We think he wants to destroy everything, blowing up like Exhibit. Remember that Exhibit video? What you see is what you get now.
Yeah.
Is it? We tend to think that's what Satan is doing. Nah, he's cool. Satan doesn't care if you, hey, as long as you love each other, be gentle, be in a nice neighborhood, do all these things. Just don't do it because you have faith in Jesus.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's good with more. So that's what I'm getting at. When you think, oh, Satan is just, look at that, that's satanic, and you use the Hollywood demonic movie mantra, and then you're blind to stuff like, oh, well, why can't two people who love each other, why can't you, why is that a problem? They just love each other. What's the problem?
Right.
You don't think and you got Christians split over stuff like that. That's the satanic stuff that I'm talking about, and that's what I see. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's moral assimilation. He's after it. And all this insecurity, the wildest part about it is when you believe in Jesus, you find a level of security that you never had.
Facts.
Because you're not important to God because you're pretty or because you're in shape or because you're talented. You're beautiful to God because you believe in his son. And that's where Christianity offers an escape from the insecurity.
Yes.
Because you have an identity in Christ. Your identity is not in how much you weigh, how much you make, where you're from, what's your body count, what's your BMI. It's not.
And that's why we are free. That's where the freedom comes in. The yoke and the light.
Yeah, we're free from the insecurity. I mean, it's there.
Yes.
I mean, this was funny. Listen. If you did, and this goes back to the early days. If you think about Genesis 3, right? After Adam and Eve bite the fruit, it says they realized they were naked, right?
Right.
And they clothed themselves. They ran and hid. They heard the voice and he said, "I was afraid." He was insecure from the jump.
Yeah, from the jump.
When they bit the fruit, they realized, they were insecure at being naked.
Oh, we don't measure up. Oh,
right.
Snap.
And whatever they thought, if it was that or just like. It was just like they went from being naked and being cool,
whatever
to
it was,
now we got to cover up. We're not secure in the way that God made us. That's one of the things we've lost. We've lost the security, and we get it back in Jesus.
Amen.
So that's why all this stuff is like, it's not just me and Striking just coming from left field. These things are rooted in Scripture,
right?
But we got to parse it out in culture first. And that's what we're seeing. I think we've created in this nation a celebration of insecurity. And we're calling it all these other things but that and missing the point. Most of us are insecure. That's classic what fear of man is.
Yeah, I mean when you talk about switching your gender assigned at birth, if you want to say it that way. When you talk about switching that kind of stuff, where else does that come from except insecurity? I mean,
100%.
You're talking about changing your whole existence to become something else. That's pretty, insecure.
Isn't it funny that the social media age is supposed to bring us together has pushed us further apart?
Oh yeah.
You know why? Because when you're on camera, you can appear to be something you're not.
And it's become a false community. So
it has. It's
become community. A replacement.
It's not, you're right. It's not social. It's anti-social media.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's made us. So people like Strike and I, we're going to try to be honest and tell you the truth. Give them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You know what I'm saying? Man, look, we back, man. We are back. We back. I'm excited.
Yes.
Season 6, episode 1 of Cross Examine. We back here. Don't y'all forget. We're gonna be back each Thursday. We're gonna try to stick to it. Having said that,
Stick-to-itiveness.
don't forget to pick this bad boy up.
Hey.
This is it. This is it right here.
Get that.
Don't be insecure by not picking this up. Pick this up. Streaming everywhere. Best album of the year. I really believe I'm trying to be the best pastor rapper out. I think I'm better than Reverend Run and all of them. I'm trying to be the best pastor.
Word
rapper.
up.
That's what we doing, baby. Whoever your pastor is that raps, I want to talk to him. I want to do a song with him. I want to do a 16. I'm the best pastor rapper. That's what I'm trying to be. Yes.
Well, don't
Money
let me
back
become a
guarantee.
pastor. Don't let me
Money
become a pastor, because then we
Do it.
battle.
Let's get it. Let's get it. I want all the smoke. I'm with it. Styles upon styles upon styles upon styles. Get into it like that.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all watching this, man. Cross-examine. We back,
Word
man.
up.
Good to be back, y'all. We will see y'all, Lord willing, next Thursday. We got a banger episode coming up. Season 6, episode 1.
Yes.
Follow us, like and subscribe to the channel. We got some big things we doing. We trying to step it up. Patreon posse, we love y'all. Thank you. We back. Sorry for not having posted any audio versions. We haven't done, but we back. We got y'all. We holding y'all down from here on out. All right. Appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Having said that, I'm Kirk Kennedy. He's Strack the Wolverine.
Come on already.
And we out of here, y'all. Grace and peace.
Peace.